wonderful. Let us take just a moment now and settle ourselves, settle our hearts, and open our minds as we prepare ourselves, continue to prepare ourselves for worship. Come, let us worship the Creator with hearts open to all peoples. Let us worship the God of diversity, who made the world in colors, in seasons, in endless variety, who created the world's peoples in colors, in endless variety.
We are, each and all, in the image of God.
We were created in love, created by love, created for love. We were created to love one another.
Jesus gave only one commandment.
Love one another. And so, in our new creed, we say, we are called to love and serve others.
If I wait till I am sure, or until my heart is pure, then I will wait forever. If I wait till someone shows me, or until I am all knowing, then I will wait forever. So I will love you now without all the answers, and you will love me now despite all my fears. You have held me close, even when you were forsaken. So I will love you now. If I wait till I am whole, if I want complete control, then I will wait forever. If I wait till I am perfect, or until I know I'm worth it, then I will wait forever. So I will love you now without all the answers, and you will love me now despite all my fears. You have held me close, even when you were forsaken. So I will love you now. Everybody. So I will love you now without all the answers, and I will love you now despite all my fears. You have held me close, even when you were forsaken. So I will love you now. So I will love you now.
Ce qui compte, c'est de croire et de montrer sa foi en aimant. Amis très chers, aimons-nous les uns les autres, parce que l'amour vient de Dieu. Tous ceux et toutes celles qui aiment sont enfants de Dieu et ils connaissent Dieu. Ceux et celles qui n'aiment pas ne connaissent pas Dieu, parce que Dieu est amour. Personne n'a jamais vu Dieu. Mais si nous nous aimons les uns les autres, Dieu vit en nous et son amour en nous est parfait.
God, who created us in love, for love,
we keep love waiting out in the hallway, where it hopes to be invited in, listened to.
we distract ourselves with teaching the right way to believe, the right way to behave, while you keep calling us
to love and serve others. Creator, open our hearts to the way Jesus showed.
May
May our church become a studio of love, teaching us to live love. May every Bible reading, every song, every prayer, every poem, every ritual, every work of art open our hearts that our love show your love, we pray. Amen.
Love knocks and waits for us to hear, to open and invite. Love longs to quiet every fear and seeks to set things right. On peut avoir beaucoup de cœur même les coups brisés, rendre à la veille le sourire, ce qui entre pleurer. Love knocks and waits for us to hear, to open and invite. Love longs to quiet every fear and seeks to set things right.
Love knocks and waits and seeks to set things right. This General Council marks the 30th anniversary of All Native Circle Conference's acknowledgement of the United Church's 1986 apology for the Church's role in imposing European culture on First Nations peoples. And this council also marks the 20th anniversary of our apology addressing the legacy of Indian residential schools. Love seeks to set things right. Love chooses relationship. And in our relationships, we're known by many names: daughter, sister, aunt. I'm also known as a settler. And we're delighted this morning to hear from one of our global partners from the World Council of Churches, Dr. Isabel Apawo-Piri. Isabel has lived in Coles, Malawi, and Zambia, her home, and has also lived in South Africa. And she's going to offer us some wisdom about how love is so integral to the work we are about as we seek to set things right, and particularly how we might think about settler relationships in our own context, but also how we might think about how love might set things right in Israel-Palestine. Will you join me in welcoming Isabel?
In February 2016, I had gone to Jerusalem together with the World Council of Churches group on a pilgrimage of justice and peace. We visited one of the Palestinian settlements near an Israeli separation wall. As we ate lunch outside and under the watchful eye of an Israeli soldier in a watchtower, suddenly we heard gunshots. The next thing we smelled was tear gas, which stung in our eyes and made it difficult for us to breathe. That was my first experience of tear gas. For the local Palestinians in this neighborhood, this is a daily experience, we were told. We do not have to do anything to provoke the gunshots of tear gas, they told us. In June 2017, the occupation of Israel settlers in Palestinian land reached its 50th year. By July 2018, the prospects for peace in Israel and Palestine seem further away than ever. Recent years have seen increasing settlements, activities, and forced displacement. A record number of home, school, and business demolitions, rising violence, military harassment, arrests and detentions, increased settler extremism, renewed large-scale deadly military operations, failed peace negotiations, crampdowns on free speech and civil society dissent, increasingly extreme and uncompromising political rhetoric, and the increasing normalization of calls by political leaders to annex Palestinian land and abandon the two-state solution, with Jerusalem belonging to two peoples and three religions. This reality breeds distrust and despair among both peoples. We saw hopelessness, especially among the Palestinian young people who are professionals and yet cannot get jobs. The unwillingness of the international community to act seems to confirm to many that amidst an increasingly volatile Middle East, the Israeli-Palestine conflict has been abandoned, deemed too intractable to focus on these difficult times. At the same time, for the ecumenical movement, we still hear the 2001 call from the churches in Jerusalem saying, "Come and see and tell the world what we are going through." The international churches have responded. You, the United Church of Canada, responded. This call led to the establishment of the World Council of Churches Ecumenical Accompaniment Program in Israel and Palestine in 2002. For 16 years, the EAPPI has sent 1,200 ecumenical accompaniers every year to Israel and Palestine to provide a protective presence so that teachers and children can go to school, farmers can go to their fields, ordinary people can cross through the many checkpoints without harassment by the Israeli soldiers and settlers. We are supporting all those in Palestine and Israel from all walks of life and religious backgrounds who refuse to give up hope for an end to the occupation of the land. And we ask ourselves now, why are we concerned about what's going on in Israel and Palestine? For me, the answer is very clear. It is from the biblical passage that we read and from the central message of the Bible. God is love, and we are commanded to love one another. The church is invited to be one, as the Holy Trinity is one in love. The church is called to be the expression of this love in a broken and sinful world. We have been reminded of the new commandment of Jesus Christ, that we should love one another. This message is exactly directed towards the fellowship of disciples. This love drove the Christians in Israel and Palestine to issue a call in 2001 to all international Christians to come and see the suffering of the Palestinians so that you can go and tell the world what they are going through. You have responded to the biblical call to the ministry of reconciliation. The love of Christ has moved you on. Paul has made it very clear that, and he died for all, so that those who live may no longer live for themselves, but for him who died and was raised for them. We are called to find the proper expression of the love given in Christ to us in our way of living. We serve God of life, leading us to justice and peace. We are driven by the love for all, and particularly for those suffering, occupied, colonized, excluded, non-privileged, discriminated, and stigmatized. This is expressing God's love for the world in a particular profound and relevant way. This is our shared faith in the crucified and resurrected Jesus Christ. The whole biblical story shows why human beings are in need of divine love, as individuals and as collective. The biblical story of love applies to us today too. The need for divine grace and love is as obvious today as it was then. We who are involved in the ministry of reconciliation and therefore meant to heal the wounds and to mend the broken relationships are in need of the same divine grace and love. The world is not in need of perfectionism, but desperately in need of love. It is the same in the church. We need love. Therefore, without recognizing our own constant need for the gracious love of God and for other human beings, the call to be part of the healing and reconciling and uniting and peacemaking body of Christ will lose credibility and power. We must be courageous, not perfect. We must have a risking faith and daring hope, which is motivated by the love of Christ in us. The attitude of love is more than softness and gentleness. It is the reliable and solid relationship that also can express disagreements and differences for the sake of clarity when needed. Love means the ability to say both yes and no, and to discern when to say what. Even if it sometimes hurts for a while, for some time, also for those who have to say it. The body of Christ is diverse. It is made up of different churches with different traditions and confessions, even different visions and expressions of unity. This mosaic is our strength and our glory. We embrace the diversity given by God. We do this in love to one another and to God, the creator of all of us, who are created in the image of God. In our risking faith and daring hope, we are grounded in the love of God, which is already poured into our hearts to be shared with whoever the Holy Spirit guides us to. Amen.
Love knocks and waits for us to hear, to open and invite. Love longs to quiet every fear and seeks to set things right.
Love seeks to set things right. In a moment of silence, we invite you to ponder what love is longing to set right. We invite you to talk to the person sitting beside you to share briefly what struck you or spoke to you in what you have experienced this morning. What is love longing to set right in you, in the place you live or work? In silence, now let's take several deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out, in, out. One more time. In, out. Let's begin. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to wrap up in 1 minute.
River of life that's flowing from His throne, won't you come on in and see? This river will set you free. Way out, way out, way out, way out, highway. There's a river of life that's flowing from the throne. A river of life that's flowing from the throne. Won't you come on in and see? This river will set you free. Way out, way out, highway. There's a river of life that's flowing from the throne. A river of life that's flowing from the throne. Won't you come on in and see? This river will set you free. Hey ah, hey ah, hey ah, hey ah, highway. There's a river of life that's flowing from the throne. A river of life that's flowing from the throne. Won't you come on in and see? This river will set you free. Way out, way out, way out, way out, highway.
You may have noticed a theme in this worship this morning about love. So hear these words of blessing from our scriptures. From John 13:34a. Love one another. Love one another. Love one another. Love one another.
Good morning, everyone. We got a happy birthday to David Kim Gregg from Saskatchewan Conference. Happy birthday, David. Does anyone else have a birthday today? Phil Thomas. Phil Thomas. Okay. A reminder to hand in your expense forms at the information desk on to my left. They also have the forms if you need a form. Okay. We've also been asked to remind that you have a conversation at your table during the plenary time to keep the conversation very quiet so that others at your table can focus on the business at hand. On Thursday, please wear black clothing to honor Thursdays in Black. Thursdays in Black is a part of the global movement that seeks to raise awareness and educate about gender-based violence. There will be a group photo taken of everyone wearing black in the bleachers, that's the bleachers there at 10:30 at the start of the break. There are also Thursday in Black buttons available in the display area.
Have you enjoyed the music here? It's just been awesome. And our amazing musicians have some CDs available for sale at their table. It says here next to the stage. There they are. Woo! Okay. The prayer room. Today, 1:30 midday prayers are for regions 11 and 13. And this evening, 7 o'clock prayers are going to be French prayers for the Francophone ministries in regions 12 and 13. Tomorrow morning, the 7:30 a.m. prayers will be led in Korean. And Thursday evening prayers for healing in the prayer room. Just a reminder, a number of you are going on excursions, and if you check your website, you'll see exactly where you're supposed to meet and at what time. I think that's it for formal announcements. Okay, un homme entre dans un restaurant, puis demande au garçon, garçon, est-ce que vous servez des nouilles ici? Puis le garçon répond, bien sûr, monsieur, ici, on sert tout le monde. Jokes don't translate, so you're just going to have to find somebody to... I'm not claiming it was the world's best joke either. All right, what do you call Batman when he doesn't go to church? Christian Bale. Have a great day.
Okay. Okay. Ce matin, nous allons continuer à prendre des décisions sur le thème de gouvernance. Et à 10h moins 20, nous aurons un speak-out. So after about half an hour of discussion, during which we hope to finish the work around governance, and after the speak-out, we're going to hear a bit about the proposal for full communion with the Christian Church Disciples of Christ in the US and Canada, and then we're going to take a vote on that motion. But right now, I'd like to invite Hewitt Holmes and Betty Kelly from the facilitation team back to the stage to continue their report. There you are.
Good morning. If you will remember, we made our way through half of the docket for governance, and this morning we're going to just jump right back in. And the next item that comes before us is MN01, Francophone representation on the Denominational Council and on the Denominational Council Executive. What we heard was the discussion groups provided a diversity of comments on the proposal. There is a need to balance inclusion with the nominations process already set out and in place. There was pastoral concern for the Francophone constituency, and you named the historical importance of this constituency. Groups told us that they believe in inclusion and voice, but not necessarily that there should be designated seats on the Denominational Council and on the Denominational Council Executive. It was noted by many groups that Francophone representation is already taken very seriously by the Nominations Committee. A few groups noted that the membership of the incoming executive of the Denominational Council shows our collective commitment to inclusion of the Francophone community. And there was some affirmation for Latab being able to propose names to various courts of the church. Having heard your comments and your input, the suggested way forward that we're recommending is that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal MN01.
All right, thank you very much. So friends, you'll recall what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you a question. So you're going to have your clickers out. And the question is, do you feel that the facilitation group accurately captured the conversations from the discussions? Did they hear you accurately? So you'll click 1 if you feel they did, and 2 if you feel they did not. Please click now. %91 of you feel that you were accurately heard. And so then I'm going to ask you if you're ready to go to a motion with the current wording. The current wording be that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal MN01. So you're not voting on the proposal, you're voting on whether or not we're ready to go to motion with that wording. Please indicate your intention now. 94% are ready to go to a motion with this wording. So then this is moved by Bev Kostachuk and seconded by Larry Doyle, that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal MN01. Is there any discussion on this motion? I recognize microphone 1.
Morning, moderator. Je m'appelle Kathy Hamilton. Je suis pasteur à Montréal et Ottawa. I understand very well the sense of not wanting to have guaranteed places on the various councils. It's not how we are going forward. Nonetheless, if we vote with this motion, there will be great hurt. There is already great lament. I want to name people like Pierre Gauberger, like Darla Sloan, like David Finn, like Rosa, like Claire, who have worked for many, many, many years raising the Francophone church and dedicating to that. And honestly, they have not always felt welcome or even like they have been seen. there is great hurt. And there is great anxiety that in spite of the fact that the church says that it is very interested in having a Francophone presence, the motion to take no action is once again going to be heard as, we don't really care. That may not be what you're saying in your heart, but that's how it will be heard. And if we do this, we are setting up for ourselves a problem, which is how will we be sure that we have Francophone voice in these courts? By what process will we be sure that there are Francophones among us so that we can be who we are? La Table has been set up in order to create a space for Francophone ministry. And La Table is where all of our Francophone ministries will exercise their wider church activity. The La Table, as it is defined, it's somewhat like a network, but it has decision-making powers. And so, as a Francophone church, I would be a member of La Table, and I would exercise most of my broader church activity at La Table. When it comes to nominating people to various courts and councils of the church, those nominations, those suggestions will come from the regions, where I, as a Francophone church, will not be known because my activity will be at La Table. If I were a member of Saint-Marc in Ottawa, I would be the only Francophone church at the moment in Region 12. It is extremely unlikely that Region 12 would nominate people from Saint-Marc to be involved in various church activities because they will not be known and because there will be so many, many, many other options. I therefore move an amendment that La Table des ministères en français be empowered to propose names of people to the nominating committee for inclusion in various courts, councils, and committees of the church. I move that, seconded by Nicole Baudry.
All right, thank you. So we have a proposed amendment before us, and the wording is going to show up on the screen in just a moment. So we'll just give the tech team a chance to get that up there. So the motion with the proposed amendment would read that the 43rd General, that the La Table des ministères en français be empowered to propose names to the nominations committee for inclusion in the various councils and committees of the church, and that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal MNO 01. So is there any discussion on the amendment? I'm seeing somebody at point of order.
Yes, point of order. Bill Sheaves, Bay Quinte Conference. I think the amendment and the actual motion are contrary to each other, and you're actually having two things being at once. If you're taking no action, you can't have an action.
We had some discussion about that with at the business table, and it was the thought of our table that because this same principle was lifted up in the comments received that were reflected in the report from the facilitation group, that it would not be out of order.
So discussion on the amendment, microphone 2.
I'm afraid. It's very difficult for me, and I asked to Rosemary to come with me. So when you are a larger group and you want to make sure that the smaller one be heard, you can at least ask if they have proposal. So I think it's the meaning of that. The other thing is I think we need to build confidence and trust between us. There has been fight, there has been all kind of thing between our communities. And I will finish by singing, "Don't be afraid, my love is stronger. My love is stronger than your fear. N'ayez pas peur, mon amour est plus fort. Je voudrais promis d'être toujours là."
Merci. Microphone 3.
David Whiting from London Conference. I'm glad this amendment was brought forward. It's almost exactly the same as one that I was considering to bring forward, but wasn't sure how to bring it into a motion that seemed contrary to the original. So thank you for that ruling that we can adjust these motions in that way. I want to bring a perspective from, as a member of the conference nominatings committee that solicited nominations from various groups to bring forward to the Executive Council. And I know we tried our best to encourage many different people to put their name forward for the Executive Council. And what I'm hearing now in this court, and what I regret in retrospect, that we weren't more intentional in going out to specific groups, whether it be something like La Table or the UCW or other communities, and try to encourage a diverse representation of people to really come forward. So I think that's something, it's maybe a starting point when we have an organization like La Table, that are specifically around Francophone. Although at the same time, I'm also concerned about opening it up to every group, putting forward a name that represents their group. I want to make sure that this is more representative of, here is a person that has a certain background. They also have many other gifts to offer the United Church. Let's put them in the pool of qualified candidates, and maybe they will be selected and maybe not, and whoever is selected will bring forward the best qualities that we need to lead the church.
Thank you. Microphone 2, and then 1 and 3.
Elaine Jacobs, ANCC. As a Native person who has seen the struggles of Native people to be included in the United Church, we've made great headway, and I know that some of the Francophones, like Pierre Goldberger, have been watching us so that they could also be included in the United Church. But if you're going to include somebody, best wishes and intentionality is not enough. It's about structure. They have to be part of the structure of the United Church. You have to give them real representatives, or it's meaningless.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
David Hart, Maritime Conference. Much as I totally love this process that we're using this time, I have to admit that on a few occasions now, when the facilitation notes have come up, you'll see there is often a small minority of people who do vote and say they don't quite represent exactly what we heard. And in our discussion group around this issue, there was a particular recognition that Francophone ministries represents such a critical element of the United Church of Canada, along with Indigenous ministries, that really we felt, although we recognize the problem with opening up the Denominational Council Executive to representation from all the various groups across the church, our discussion group did indeed feel that having a representative from the Francophone community was a really significant step to take, and felt that at least one member should be represented on the Denominational Council Executive. So I just want to put that out. And that is one of the reasons why this motion in some form or fashion recognizes, this amendment motion recognizes in some form or fashion the need for that representation. I would vote in favor of it.
Thank you. Microphone 3.
Steve Barabay, Maritime Conference moderator. I think this amendment, especially during this time in our life as a denomination, makes sense. We're in a time of transition, and one of the things that I learned many years ago is that in transition, people don't have the same degree of trust. They're anxious, they're worried. The more consultation that we can do as we move through, especially the coming triennium, the better off we will be. This amendment is one that will work for us in the future also. So I speak in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I want to make one note before I recognize the remaining speakers. I'm going to get a little bit tougher today. If you are saying in essence, agreeing with what has gone before, if you're saying in reiterating, saying again what's been said, maybe you can trust that the court has heard that. And if you're coming up to the mic, it's because you have a piece of information that we haven't yet heard, or a perspective that you think we need that we haven't yet received. The other thing is, if you have spoken at the microphone, we'll start within the last 24 hours. I'm going to bump it up to 48 hours by tomorrow. But if you've spoken at the microphone within the last 24 hours, just please be aware that this is a big room full of a lot of people, and we haven't heard from most people. So we need those microphones to be free so that the folks who haven't yet spoken know that they can get up there. So I'm just going to trust you all to reflect on that. So microphone 2.
Nicole Baudry, Synod Montréal et Ottawa. Just one little point that we didn't mention is that the United Church has declared itself a bilingual church. And this was not part of the motion. On est une église bilingue. Les francophones ne sont pas simplement un autre groupe. Merci.
Merci. Microphone 1.
Dan Hayward, Synode Montréal et Ottawa. Je suis élu par l'exécutif du Conseil général. The very first Francophone believers in the denominations that became the United Church of Canada date back to 1815. Francophones are not newcomers in the church. Where I serve in Eastern Ontario, 1815 is only a couple of decades younger than the very oldest Anglophone Methodist and Presbyterian congregations in our part of Canada. We have made an historic commitment to allow Francophones to govern their own affairs in the church, and now taken away the only court where Francophones were in the majority with the passage of the remits. We made a commitment at the 40th General Council to Francophone ministries being an integral part of the church, and today's the day we get to decide whether we really believe that or not.
Merci. Micro 1, and then micro 3.
Bonjour, Madame la modératrice. Bonjour, Madame la secrétaire générale. My name is Marie-Claude Manga from MNO Minister. So I'm going to speak in French. She will translate for me. Nous sommes d'accord avec toutes les transformations de l'Église. Nous marchons main dans la main. Nous comprenons ce qui se passe maintenant. Nous devons passer à une autre étape.
We accept all of the changes that have come before us. We understand and work from sea to sea, and we're ready to go to take a new step.
À part ce que tous les francophones et tous ceux qui ont intervenu, voilà ce que je vais dire comme remarque.
Here's what I have to say.
Le Québec, c'est un potentiel, un grand potentiel. Pour le moment, il n'y a pas vraiment il n'y a pas beaucoup de congrégations ou de communautés francophones qui sont en exercice. Par contre, le potentiel est là. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui sont partis des églises et qui cherchent toujours cet amour de Dieu, mais dans une langue spécifique, le français.
Quebec is an area of great potential. There are many in Quebec who have left the church and are seeking. We don't have very many French Protestant churches in Quebec, and there are many who are looking for a spiritual life in their language.
Nous avons demandé plusieurs fois de faire ce pas-là, mais comme il y a ce changement qui brasse toute l'Église, nous sommes d'accord. Mais est-ce possible de penser qu'à cause de ces potentiels, à cause de ce qu'il y a comme bassin, pour l'ouverture de l'amour que l'Église unie projette dans la société, qu'on puisse être une table où nous pouvons réfléchir dans une langue en français, dans un contexte francophone, pour être la porte d'entrée, pour que ces gens-là qui sont en quête de spiritualité puissent trouver l'amour, la compassion, la créativité et s'impliquer dans l'Église unie du Canada.
Can the table be a place where we grow possibilities of welcoming people so that they may find the love and the compassion and the hope of God that we've been talking about? I can't really translate the emotion of Marie-Claude.
Thank you.
Merci.
Merci. Microphone 1? 3. 3. Sorry.
Not on. Thank you, moderator. Pat Whitten, London Conference. In 1994, I was on the sessional committee where the French community was asking for representation and having the church hear their voice. And I know that we don't want to go backwards, but I think this would be a step backwards if we don't support this amendment. So thank you.
There we go. I'm going to take a comment from microphone 2 and then microphone 1. And because I'm hearing consistently support for the amendment, unless I see somebody running up to a mic to speak against it, I'm going to call the question. So microphone 2.
Merci, Madame la Modératrice. So I'm going to speak English because I think that my fellow Francophones understand what's at stake very well. So for the first time in many years, friends, Reverend Etienne, the big mouth who never shuts up, is terrified. I've been wondering if I should get up or not. For the first time, I was struck with fear. Oh, thanks, Rosemary. I was struck with fear, and that usually doesn't happen to me. That is actually what the people who are serving the church in French are feeling. Every week, my phone rings in Hamilton, and they say, Etienne, do something, do something, do something. And What I want to share with you is I don't think that being mindful of the strength and the gifts that the Francophones are bringing to the church is just a nicety. It's just there to make us feel good that we're really inclusive. We are bringing something that is very rich and unique in our joy, in the way we are sharing ideas, in the way we are passionate, and in the way we are leading. I want to invite you to speak to the Francophones here in the court today, because I think that what's going on in the Laurentians is the answer to all our problems about rural ministry. I think that my fellow Francophones are bringing what the church needs, and so that where we need to rebuild leadership of clergy and lay together, especially in a place where the church has been so powerful that everyone is hurt now, but they are still longing for God. Every time I speak to a Francophone about the United Church, it takes only 7 minutes, and they say, "Oh, wow, I'm interested. Where can I go? I want to be part of this." But then when they ask, "So, do you speak my language?" I have to be ashamed and say, "No, but we're really nice, you know. Maybe you can still function a bit in English." I hate saying that. So let's support this amendment, and also be mindful that we are going to be so poor if we don't encourage the leadership in French in the church, because people just go leave and they don't dare to stand up to do it because it's so lonely. Okay, I'll shut up.
Merci. Microphone 1.
My name is Nelson Hart. That's my Christian name, or my colonized name. I was born into a Cree home. So my spiritual name is Kitinapio. I'm still trying to learn and understand what that means. In my time, I found out my spiritual name means elderly man. So I stand before you as an elderly man. I'm still trying to figure out where I belong. Do I belong in my own country? Or do I still belong to my own tribe? And the church, not the United Church, but the Methodist Church and the Catholic Church, whatever came to our shores, first thing they did was to civilize us, because they considered us savages. And then the next thing we knew, we were Christianized. And then after that, the formation of what was called now the United Church of Canada. Now that word Canada, does it include everybody? Like myself as an Aboriginal person? Because now I came here with the question, where is the Indigenous Church? And who has hope? And that's my questions. I have been to these gatherings, and I always hear ravens. You know, ravens call you early in the morning, 4 o'clock, before the sun rises. And I've been hearing ravens all day, all this time since I came here. Nobody has given a chance to speak. Yet when I meet somebody on the street, they'll ask me, "Nelson, what do you think?" Well, what can I say? If I say it to somebody, they get offended, they get discouraged. Pardon me that I have to use the borrowed language that everybody has experience here. I hear a complaint about the Francophone church. And what are you going to do about the indigenous church we've been talking about? See, we have been here long before anybody was born. And you see in some of your songs when you write, I was born before anything existed. My elders used to tell me, do you read? And I wouldn't answer, what kind of reading will I use? I replied to him, yes, I read, my brother. And he says, in the scripture reading that you read, did you hear this word, these words? Ma-te means let us. And he goes on to say, that sounds as if there's more than one person talking up there in the spirit world. You know, that really opened my eyes and my ears, coming from an elder that never went to school. And that's the same thing happened with my father. He never went to school. The land was his classroom. And the sky and the water. Now, if you can pass through those, now you're a person. You can survive. I was very disturbed as to find out who I am. Where do I belong? I can still say I belong to Nelson House. That's the name of the community that they gave us when my ancestors were forced to sign treaty. Adhesion to Treaty 5. But the church came and took away our sacred pipes, our bundles, and they gave us their Bible. And still we're trying to deal with the Bible, and we're still searching how we can use the sacred pipe that my ancestors had. So all this time I didn't know that one of my brothers kept the pipe that our ancestors had. And now they're starting to use that. And here I am trying to address you. I'm trying to hold the pipe as well as the Bible in balance. But yet, I don't fit anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. I see somebody at microphone 1. Sir, are you speaking against the amendment? All right, then we'll take this comment and then...
Bonjour mes amis, je m'appelle Sarah Brewer, je viens du Conférence Manitoba et Nord-Ouest Ontario. Je suis incroyable nerveuse, alors j'ai apporté mon ami Nick. With much respect and love, I speak against this amendment. I grew up in a French community and I speak French fluently, and my concern with this is that we have so many marginalized groups in our church, and if we give each person on a council of 15 specific representation, then we end up with a council of 60 people because everybody wants to be represented. And there was a time when we needed to have a UCW rep, and there was a time when we needed to have a representative from the Francophone community, and those people are still important. But one of the things we did in a side conversation at our table was look at the makeup of the people we approved to the denominational council, and we recognized that the nominating committees, and we recognized that Kathy is the chair of that committee organically. And so we would speak against this because we believe that we've come to a place where organically we value that.
Thank you for that comment. And I just want to make it clear that the amendment is not suggesting a designated place on any of the committees or councils for a Francophone, but simply that La Table would be empowered to propose names to the nominations committee for them to consider for positions on committees or councils. It's not about designating a place. So thank you. I'm going to call the question. So get your clickers ready, please. We are at this point, we are voting just on the amendment. So if you are in favor of including the amendment to accept that La Table would be empowered to propose names to the nominations committee for inclusion on various councils and committees of the church, then you would click 1. If you are opposed to the inclusion of this amendment, you would click 2. Please vote now. And that is 84% in favor, and so that is approved. Now we actually have to vote on the motion, folks. So the motion as amended, that La Table des ministères en français be empowered to propose names to the nominations committee for inclusion in the various councils and committees of the church, and that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal MNO 01. That is the motion that is before us. Please vote now. All right, and we have voted 90% in favor, and so that is approved. So we are going to have, my watch beeped at me several minutes ago, indicating that it was time for our speak out. So I had promised that I would allow time for folks to get to the microphone who need a little more time for a speak out. So I'm going to invite our musicians, if I can call on you spontaneously, to just offer us a short song. You can lead us in song or sing us a song, and during the singing of that song, I'm going to invite 3 folks to make their way to a microphone for a speak out. If you see somebody heading towards a microphone who you know takes longer than you to get there, search your heart for what God is calling you to do. By the time we get a song sung. A quick one. Okay. A quick one. Damn it.
So we're going to do When You Come and Follow Me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good. But not all the verses, right? Just a couple verses? Short. We want a couple verses. Yeah.
Will you come and follow me if I but call your name? Will you go where you don't know and never be the same? Will you let my love be shown? Would you let my name be known? Will you let my life be grown in you and you in me? Will you leave yourself behind if I but call your name? Will you care for cruel and kind and never be the same? Will you kiss the heart Will you let the blinded see if I but call your name? Will you set the prisoners free and never be the same? Will you use the not but clean and do such as this unseen? Will you let you what I mean in you and you in me?
Thank you very much. And coolest instrument ever, hello. Piano powered by mouth. Thank you. All right, we've got the first three people at the microphones here. Microphone 1, you've got 1 minute starting now.
Thank you, moderator. Jim McKibben, Toronto Conference. I am also the honorary past president of as one that serves AOTS, and I am rising here today to draw attention to the work of the council to the work of AOTS, and to celebrate that work, and also to recognize that at this time the national organization of AOTS is suspending operations. We have done our work. We have been proud to be associated with the United Church of Canada over these many years. We were actually founded 2 years before the church. We've been the men's organization of the church, and we have been devoted to church camps for the most part throughout our history. Thank you for your attention. Many AOTS clubs will continue. The national organization is suspending its operation and keeping its website going. We are proud to have.
All right, thank you very much. Microphone 2.
Paul Reid, Bay of Quinte Conference. Faithful footprints mentioned only in passing yesterday is a conversation we need to have. It is addressing that which threatens us and all that we know and love. A conversation that needs to begin. I began a conversation 8 years ago trying to encourage a congregation to address the environment of themselves. Thought I had failed, until I met a woman who said, yes, I will fund $200,000 worth of environmental improvements. You can't get to the end of the conversation if you don't have the courage to begin it. Let us talk about our commitment and make it happen.
Thank you. And microphone 3.
I would like my 60 seconds to share about my love and care for a day camp. In the lower mainland-ish of BC, youth and young adults are ready to serve children. Camp spirit is amazing, it's invigorating, faith-raising, it's camp. The staff's a traveling crew. Each week they set up anew to meet the local needs. There's opening prayer, songs to share, worship together, even in rainy weather. Every day is faith-filled and fun. Through church hallways they run, engaging in prayer with elders they share. There's community engagement, parachute games, water parks, spiritual practices, lunch and snacks, youth leadership training, financial accessibility, energy, spirit, space, voice, life, love, love, love. It exists so that children may witness the sacred in themselves and others. Just wanted to share and thank the leaders there.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for this Speak Out session. I understand there are some folks at microphones who want to register their official abstention to the previous vote, and we need to hear those because they want to be recorded. All we need is your name. And now everybody's left. So if you didn't want to officially abstain and have that recorded, then we're good to go. Okay, I am now going to invite Dan Hayward and John Young and Gail Allen. And are you introducing all our guests, or? All right.
Bonjour. Good morning, church. Je m'appelle Dan Hayward, je suis le président du Comité théologie et relations interconfessionnelles et interreligieuses. Et j'ai de bonnes nouvelles aujourd'hui, la bonne nouvelle des témoignages chrétiens de travail ensemble pour la paix et la justice et la transformation des vies et du monde, de l'unité des croyants en Jésus-Christ pour réaliser sa prière afin qu'ils soient tous un. I wish to present proposal GCE7, GS83, full communion with the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ in the United States and Canada. And first, I want to introduce some of the people who have been working to arrive at the full communion agreement that we are proposing today. From the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, Reverend Terry Hord Owens, General Minister and President. That title means that Terry has the jobs of both the moderator and General Secretary in our polity. Terry is the first African American to head the denomination and one of the first Black women to head a mainline Protestant church in North America. Reverend Paul Che, President of the Council on Christian Unity, and Reverend Jennifer Garvin, Regional Minister for Canada. And from the United Church of Canada, Nora Sanders, Reverend Dr. John Young, Dr. Gail Allen, Reverend Shannon McCarthy. Is Shannon up? She got here. Reverend Heather Leffler, and myself. This is your planning group for the full communion agreement. The proposal is that this 43rd General Council make a mutual declaration with the General Assembly of the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, which will meet in Des Moines, Iowa in July 2019, declaring and celebrating that a state of full communion now exists between these two denominations, and that we commit ourselves to work with God's help and with our partners towards greater unity in the entire Church of Jesus Christ. We are doing things differently for this proposal. We have had an online listening session. We are going to have listening, discussion, and decision all together in a short period of time. So I want to make 3 quick points to begin. The first is that the 42nd General Council approved full communion with the United Church of Christ. Who was in the room when we did that in Corner Brook? This is a partnership which has become deeper and richer during the last 3 years. The United Church of Christ, in turn, enjoys a full communion relationship with the Disciples of Christ, which includes sharing a global ministry board. And we, in fact, share many of the same mission partners. So we will all be in full communion with each other should this proposal pass. Second, the Disciples of Christ is a bi-national church with a strong presence in Canada. So this agreement is not just across borders, but within the country. And finally, I sit on the General Board of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, as they have graciously given us a voting seat on their equivalent of the General Council Executive before we have even approved this agreement. So now the moderator will entertain questions about the full communion proposal.
So friends, if you have questions for the folks presenting about this proposal, then I invite you to a microphone. It looks like you've all done your reading, you've studied, you've participated in the webinar perhaps, and you're fully up to date. So, then, golly, what's our next thing? Now we discuss. Well, you don't have any questions? Do you have any discussion? Do you have any Are you ready to go to move from proposal to motion? Nice. I'm not even going to make you use your clickers for that one. So, it is moved by Daniel Hayward and seconded by Heather Leffler. All those good words up on the screen. I'm not going to read them all because it's a long one, but the gist of it is that we would, at this meeting, approve that in July 2019 in Des Moines, Iowa, at the Christian Church Disciples of Christ meeting, enter into full communion with Christian Church Disciples of Christ in Canada and the USA. So, got your clickers ready? Because now you do need them. If you're in favor of this full communion agreement, press 1. If you're opposed, press 2. Please vote now. Oh, we are very much in favor. Woohoo! I think we get to clap for this one, friends.
Amen. Amen. Thanks be to God.
Amen.
Thank you so much for your warm welcome here at the General Council and for your openness to living out the unity to which Christ calls us all. We are the Christian Church Disciples of Christ in the U.S. and Canada, as Dan spoke, and so we are already part of you in very important ways. My colleague, the Reverend Jen Garber, the regional minister of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ in Canada, stands behind me. I will actually be here next week for the regional assembly of Canadian disciples. Conversation has been going on for a little under 2 years. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. It was in full swing when I came to this office and ministry about 1 year ago. It is so important, I think, that we unite and live out this common witness that Christ has given us. When Jesus prays in John 17, Lord, make them one, he's not talking about a kumbaya moment where we can all feel good. What he's really seeking is that we can live in such a way, serve in such a way, do witness, work for peace and justice together in such a way that the world will know that the ministry and person of Jesus is real, and that God has done something special in the person of Jesus Christ. That's our mission, that's our hope. We look forward to deepening this relationship. Your General Secretary, Nora Saunders, and I shared a really important trip to Colombia in May of 2017, where we saw firsthand the work of the common witness of global ministries between the United Church of Christ, the United Church of Canada, and the Disciples of Christ. It is exciting to think what God can do with all of us working together, living out this common witness, learning more about each other, and seeking to be God's very real presence in the world together. Thank you for welcoming us. We look forward to celebrating with your General Secretary when we take the vote at our General Assembly in Des Moines, Iowa in July of 2019. And we are planning a celebratory worship service
sometime in the fall of 2019 here in Canada. And so we hope to see many of you there. Continue to pray for us, and we will pray for you. God bless you, and we are brothers and sisters in Christ. Fully and wholly, we walk this journey with you. God bless you.
Whew, it's an exciting day already. We have a video now. We have a point of order on mic, point of order.
Pam Thomas, Saskatchewan Conference. I rise not on a point of order, but on a point of personal privilege. In the 1970s and early 80s, I was part of a congregation in Calgary called Campbellstone United Church. And Campbellstone was one of the 3 experimental joint United Church Disciples of Christ congregations. There may be others here who have also been part of one of those 3 congregations. So this is great personal joy for me today, and I can hardly wait to start sending emails to my beloved friends in that congregation. Thank you for this.
So now we have a video produced by The Observer, and that should come up on your screen right away. Our General Secretary now is going to lead us in a special celebration.
Well, who wants to follow a cute cat, you know? Come on. But we've got something very special because one of the things we're celebrating, I think since we met last, we've marked 50 years since the Evangelical United Brethren became part of the United Church of Canada. And they have made, people from that stream of ministry have made a huge impact on our church. We've got 3 representatives here today, who I'm going to introduce briefly, and they're going to tell us a little bit more. So David Hallman, who was a general council staff person for 30 years, had in his portfolio the work related to the environment and also disabilities, children's rights, the Nestle boycott, LGBT human rights, energy, but most of us know him for his environmental justice work. Climate change became the main focus of his work by the time I came to the General Council office, and he was known worldwide, and he made the United Church known worldwide for the work that he did. Catherine Ambrose, an active member of the United Church of Canada, is the daughter of Reverend Emerson Hallman, who was the conference superintendent of the Canadian Conference of the Evangelical United Brethren, and leader of the EUB union negotiations. She's growing up with this stuff, and one of the ones that led us into the United Church of Canada. And her father was the first executive secretary of Hamilton Conference. And Bruce Seebach is with us, ordained into the Canadian Conference of the EUB at Emmanuel EUB in Sebringville, Ontario, and served EUB churches in the Kitchener-Waterloo region. He has been active in camping, youth, sporting, and prayer ministries. So I'm pleased to invite them to make their presentation to us. Thank you.
Good morning. On September 12, 1966, at the 22nd General Council of the United Church of Canada, Waterloo, Ontario, the Reverend Dr. E.E. Hallman, Superintendent of the Canada Conference of the Evangelical United Brethren Church, and the Reverend Ernest E. Long presented the Council with a plan of union between the Canada Conference of the EUB Church and the United Church of Canada. The proposal was unanimously approved by a standing vote. Now thank we all our God was how the 22nd General Council expressed their great feelings of gratitude for the momentous occasion in our church's history. A year later, the annual conference of the Evangelical United Brethren Church voted in favor of the union by a 73.3 majority. On July 18, 1967, the Board of Bishops and the Episcopal declaration that the Canada Conference on the first day of January 1968 shall become a part of the United Church of Canada and be known as the United Church of Canada. The United Church of Canada, on and after the first date of January 1968, shall be the ecclesiastical and the legal successor to the Canada Conference. The following year, on January 10, 1968, during the consummation of union service at Zion Church in Kitchener, moderator Dr. W.C. Lockhart declared, "The Canada Conference and the General Conference of the Evangelical United Brethren Church be received as a part of the United Church of Canada."
The Canada Conference of the EUB Church that united with the United Church came with about 10,000 members, 60 congregations, 40 ministers, and 2 wonderful camps, Silver Lake Camp and Golden Lake Camp. The EUB Church came to union with many gifts, a history of dynamic youth programming, tradition of church-wide youth gatherings, a commitment to Christian education, and a strong sense of discipleship and stewardship. Dr. Emerson Holman joked with the United Church Observer in the issue of January 1968 that union was a very easy way for the EUB Church to get 1 million new members. Today, at this 43rd General Council of the United Church, we celebrate with joy and deep gratitude the 50th anniversary of this historic union that has created the united and uniting church that we are today.
The idea of a national church going from one coast to the other. At the time of union with the United Church, the Evangelical United Brethren Church as an entity had only been in existence since 1946. So only 22 years. So the idea of branching out and uniting and becoming something bigger for the benefit of all, it's been a humongous gift to me that's almost impossible to put into words. My name's Jerry Hofstetter. I am a retired minister within the United Church of Canada. My home church was Roseville, Grace Evangelical United Brethren Church. Roseville is a little community southwest of Kitchener. I was actually the last person licensed to preach in the EUB Church in '67, prior to becoming a part of the United Church of Canada. And I've had the opportunity throughout those years to serve the United Church of Canada in many, many capacities. In terms of being in my teens at the time and hearing about union talks and knowing a little bit of church history and what was happening in the States, those of us in Canada, the Canada Conference of the EUB Church, really had three options before us, knowing that things were moving forward in the States. We could remain a part of an American church. We could try to exist on our own, which didn't really make sense when you're talking in terms of 62 congregations and 38 pastoral charges, or find a place within the Canadian culture wherein lay the Methodist roots. Voila, the United Church of Canada. So after lots of debate and discussion, that's the decision that was made. And those of us who were EUB became a part of the United Church of Canada. Early January 1968, when those of us who had been EUB formally became a part of the United Church of Canada, was an extremely emotional moment for me. Keep in mind, I'm not yet 20 years of age, okay? And I'm in the presence of people to whom I've been looking up as my leaders and clergy within the EUB Church and within the United Church. To be in the presence of the moderator of the United Church of Canada, my goodness, that's not something as a youngster that I would have ever dreamt of being able to share. I was invited to be a part of the formal processional as we made our way into Zion Church, into the sanctuary for the service of worship. And just an overwhelming sense of awe and for me, an awareness of the presence of God and the Spirit of God in that building. It was just really, really moving, a very, very moving experience. Frankly, I have goosebumps right now thinking about it, and that was over 50 years ago. I just felt being enveloped and being a part of something that was so much bigger than myself that I couldn't put it into words. I felt loved, I felt cared for, I felt embraced. Part of the fear, always, when a small group become a part of a larger group, is that you're going to be lost and swallowed up. That has been the furthest thing from my experience. And I can honestly say that throughout the years that I've been a part of the United Church of Canada, that has always been, I've never felt like an outsider. Never felt like an outsider or an outlier or of lesser significance. My experience of the EUB Church is rural, okay? A small rural church, a reasonably small congregation of extremely committed, passionate people. Passionate about their faith, passionate about the way they lived their lives. Brought that into the United Church of Canada. A strong sense of mission, a strong sense of outreach, a very strong sense of the importance of Christian education. Consequently, the majority of EUB churches had, and some of them with EUB history still do, have adult Christian education classes as part of Sunday school on a Sunday morning to this day. As a teenager in the EUB church, one of the really significant things to me was the youth education and youth groups and conference youth. And there was always linkages all across the conference of the church. And that was fundamental in the beginnings of my sense of call to ministry. What it meant to be a young person as a Christian, as a disciple of Christ. The EUB Church had a very strong sense of mission, missionaries and mission and reaching beyond and sharing the gospel beyond the bounds of the local congregation. I am enormously proud to be able to say that one of our EUB ministers, the Reverend Dr. Howard Brox, served at the national office with the Division of Mission in Canada for a good many years and brought to the national church that sense of mission and outreach. And I like to think, too, that wherever I've been as a part of the United Church of Canada, I've been able to share some of the excitement and passion that I feel as a follower, a disciple within the life of the church and within the United Church of Canada. I couldn't have asked for anything more than what the United Church has meant to me as an individual, and the opportunity to be involved in ministry as part of this united and uniting church. I can't imagine what it would be like not to have been a part of the United Church of Canada.
Please join in a prayer of thanksgiving, first used 50 years ago at the consummation of union service, followed by a verse of the hymn, Now Thank We All Our God. O thou who hast surrounded us with so great a cloud of witness, we remember before thee with thanksgiving those who have led us in times past, shared with us their vision and their faith, and given to us so precious an heritage. Enable us to be worthy of them, to uphold what they have discerned of the truth, and to press forward in high hope, looking not to the past, but to that great day when thou wilt bring all our labors to fulfillment in the fullness of thy kingdom, through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Friends, we couldn't be more on time this morning if we tried. So this afternoon, after lunch, many of you are going to be off on adventures, and the rest of you will probably be sleeping or sipping coffee somewhere. If you have signed up for one of the excursions, then you should have been sent some information about it. So if you don't have that information, please check at the information table if you're not sure. Some of you might have signed up for something, but now you've decided you can't go, or maybe you didn't sign up and you're regretting that and you wish you could go. And perhaps if you fall into either of those categories, you'd make your way to the information table and there might be some negotiating that can take place. Lunch is going to start today at noon to make sure that you have lots of time to get to your buses. So in your discussion groups, please try to ensure that you do your best to finish the themes of right relations, leadership, and administration of sacraments. There will still be, after today, you're going to have another 3.5 hours total in discussion time. So we want to make sure you're having good and full and worthwhile discussions, but at the same time, staying focused enough so that you can get through all the topics that are before you. So you're going to take your break now and make your way to your discussion rooms for a discussion time, and then lunches at noon, and then you're off for the afternoon. But don't go anywhere because there's somebody at the microphone at the front.
Check, check. I had a comment with one of the nominees for moderator and thought that what a fun way to select a moderator by dropping them off at a random place on campus, and the first one back is moderator. I bring that up because table group G is in what appears to be I-10, but there's no I on our map, so we don't know where we're going.
Ooh. Could I have somebody who knows about these things come up and... could we actually have the room numbers up for the various discussion groups? So... Oh, and then we... Thank you. Oh, so discussion group G is supposed to be meeting actually in what room?
That's what... Somewhere that's not on the map, apparently, so that's what we're wondering.
Room. Okay, so if you are in group G, please gather over here in front of those banners on the floor, and we will figure out where you are supposed to go. Great, thank you.